I'm Pia. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. This is episode 73. And for those of you who are new here, Lunchtime Live is basically like my video newsletter for Stitches and Scraps. I'll tell you all about what's going on the site, what's new, all of that. And then we'll do a quick demo of a stitch of the week. And I'm alternating between knit and crochet stitches. So this week we're doing crochet, and it's going to be the thermal stitch. The single crochet thermal stitch to be specific, because in 2 weeks time we will do a half double crochet thermal stitch. So if you're watching, say hi so I know you're here. I always love chatting with you, so pop in anytime with questions or comments. Be sure to hit that like button. Yeah, I always feel like so weird saying that, but anyway, hit the like button. Like me. Okay. So what's new on the blog? Well, I just posted a pattern. I didn't get it out till last night, but I post-dated it for yesterday, so it'll show up. You guys don't care. On the blog, it'll show up as the second post down. But it is the cotton candy stripes scarf, which I actually have a matching hat as well. And the story of this scarf, back when I used to be a realtor ages and ages ago, one of my coworkers there, he was really sweet. He's no longer there either, but, or maybe he is. I don't even know actually. Anyway, he reached out and he said that a long time ago, he had gotten his wife some mittens and she loved them, and he wanted to get her a hat to match the mittens. So working from some pictures with, all secret without her knowing, we made a hat to match the mittens. And so that was the first custom order. She loved that. So then this time around, he wanted a scarf to match. So now she's got the complete set. And I've had to hold on to this pattern for a little while because I couldn't let the secret out, right? But the secret's out now. She got it. She loved it. And the pattern is up on the site. So there is the scarf and the matching hat. And the scarf is all seed stitch. So it's really easy for a beginner knitter. The pattern repeat itself is only one row. You do the same exact thing on every row, but because of the stripes, and it's got kind of a almost random but not random striping pattern, so it looks kind of, it looks really cool. But and I can't take any credit for the striping pattern because I copied the picture of the mittens. But anyway, the pattern is up on the site now, so that's the new pattern for the week, and it's perfect for beginners. And check out the matching hat. The hat, because of the shaping, is not quite such a beginner pattern, but it's all seed stitch as well, so it's not difficult. It's more of a advanced beginner. Okay, so something else I want to tell you about that I'm really excited about is Showstopper Creations. I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not, but my friend Jessie from Jessie at Home, she has put together a whole new offering. I don't even know what to call it. It's not a site, it's a platform, I guess. I don't know, but it's on a platform called Kabaji. I'm probably saying that wrong, Kabaji. But what it is, it's like this whole crochet world. I love it. It's the idea behind it is to take your crochet to the next level. So basically it's got stuff on how to choose colors, how to make your crochet look more professional, little finishing touches, tips, and how to find your style, how to know what patterns are going to work for you and which aren't. There's even some information in there about how to design your own patterns, not necessarily writing them to sell them and all of that. Oops, there goes my lighting. Okay. I broke that last week. Anyway, not necessarily how to design them to write patterns and sell them, but more how to customize your own designs and all of that. I mean, I guess you could use this to write patterns and sell them too, but it's not aimed towards professionals specifically. It's aimed towards hobbyists and possibly professionals, but people who want to develop a more professional style and more of a personal style and really get that wow, from their gifts and things like that. So it's got all those lessons in what they call the core training. And then she's got her Stitchopedia, which is like a list of tutorials of all these different stitches. She's got a bunch of printables. There's a forum. I mean, it's this whole little crochet bubble. It's a great platform. I've been playing around with it a little bit. She's got the price as low as it's ever going to be right now. It's an annual subscription. And the cool part is if you lock in the price now, like if you subscribe now and you keep your subscription active, you'll get this price even when the prices start to go up. So the price is lower now because she's just starting it and she's still building some of these resources. So you'll see a lot of coming soons in there. But there's still a lot already there. So it's still a great deal even if you sign up now, and then you get to keep that price the whole time. So look for that link. And I didn't say this time, but on all of my lunchtime lives, in the description, you'll see a link to a blog post, okay? In that blog post, there's a list of all of the links of stuff I'm going to talk about in the video. So the link to Showstopper Creations is there. Go ahead and check that out. It is an affiliate link. I do get a commission if you sign up, but it's really, I haven't even had a chance to go through all of the stuff that's there already. It's a really great service, so highly recommend. So that's what's been going on for me on this end. What's coming up, ooh, this is exciting. Hang on, let me fix this light real quick. This is my light. I broke where it attaches to the tripod last week. So it's kind of propped up against a piece of wood and just sort of held in place that way. I have to get a new light. I knocked it over and it finally broke. Okay, so this is exciting. You guys want to see the first bag along pattern for the bag along crochet along, bag along Cal. Okay, it's not felted yet, so it's not quite done, but this is the bag. It's an origami bag with this handle, and it's ginormous right now. Okay, look at this. It's ginormous, but that's because it's not felted yet. It's going to shrink by about 25% when I felt it. So the reason I haven't felted it yet, the pattern is being tech edited right now, and I want to make sure that if I need to refer back to it, I can still see the stitches, because once you felt it, it becomes all fuzzy and you can't really count stitches and stuff like that. So as soon as the tech editing is done, I'm going to felt this, and then the pattern should come out on whatever day I said it comes out on. I want to say it's Tuesday. It should come out on Tuesday, but next week for sure. The materials post and all of the giveaway information and all of that is already up. So be sure to check that out. And if you haven't entered the giveaway, enter the giveaway. And with that, unless there's any questions on that stuff, I'm going to jump right in to the demo. And you guys say hi. I see there's a few of you here, but nobody's chatting. Come chat with me. This is much more fun when you guys chat too. Okay, let's switch over here and I'm going to show you guys the thermal stitch. Okay, so this is the thermal stitch. It's super dense, right? Look how thick this fabric is. It's wonderful for pot holders and stuff like that, because basically what you're doing when you make this stitch is you're folding your stitches in half. Look at that. It's a double layer of fabric. Okay, so I'm going to show you the basic stitch on this swatch. Then I'm going to start a new swatch so you can see how to start it. And then I'm going to, because I can't ever do anything just one way, I'm going to show you a bunch of tiny little variations in how you start it. So the basic concept of the thermal stitch, these are just single crochet stitches, okay? The thing that makes them different is where you work them. So you're going to work into the back loop only, which is going to leave the front loop exposed for us to use on the next row, right? And into that front loop from the last row that's still exposed. So these front loops will be used on the next row. These are the same, unused front loops from the previous row, and we're going to go into that and work a single crochet. When you get this far into the swatch, after you've done a few, it like folds up on itself, so it's really easy. You can do it all in one motion, right? So it's actually no harder than doing a single crochet stitch once you get it going. It's just about placing it in this back loop from the current row and the unused front loop from the previous row. Okay, so that is in a nutshell the thermal stitch. Very easy to count. You've got this beautiful grid shape with the lines. So each line here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, each one's a row. Really easy to count. I like how it looks almost like a micro waffle stitch. Hi Lori, it's good to see you. I love having first timers here. So what do you think so far? This is my crazy world here. I get on every week and just chat. So let me know if you have questions or anything you'd like to see or anything you want me to repeat. But okay, so that is the basics of the thermal stitch. So let's look at how to start the thermal stitch. Okay. So I'm just going to start with a few chains. I think I'll do maybe 6. I like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 1 for a turning chain, so 7. Okay. Now for the first row, I'm just going to do half double crochet. You guys know I like to work in the back bump. I'm going to go ahead and do that for this demo. Actually, no, I'll show you that part later. To start off with, I'm going to work into it. Beth, you'll like this one. I'm going to work into it like normal people do most of the time into, I'm actually going to go into both of these loops. So the front loop and the back bump. So that's probably the most common way to start in the chain here. So let's do that. At least I think it's the most common. And I'm just working single crochets all the way across. So that is 3, 4, 5, and in this last one, 6. Oop. Okay, so here's the reason that was important. The chain has 3 loops in it, right? It has the front loop, or sorry, the top loop, the bottom loop, and that back bump. I worked into 2 of them, which leaves 1 loop exposed. So I just have the 1 loop exposed. Now when I make my first thermal stitch row, remember the deal is you work into 1 loop from the current row and the leftover loop from the previous row. So I can work into that 1 loop I skipped. Other people will start thermal stitch with 2 rows of single crochet. So that makes it really easy. They'll do 1 row of single crochet, 1 row in the back loop only. And then when you come back around, you've got that exposed loop and you just go, you know, like we've been doing into both of those loops. But I don't like that because it leaves a floppy row. It leaves the first row not doubled up. So what I prefer to do is start right from the chain and go into this back loop of the first stitch and whatever loop is exposed on the chain. So there's 1, right? Notice how I've actually like turned this sideways. So pull up that loop, finish your single crochet, right? Then the next stitch and that next exposed loop. And what this is going to do is it's going to leave the bottom completely rounded, completely smooth. There's no extra loops hanging out or showing or getting in the way. So whatever loops you leave exposed when you work into the chain, if you work into all of the exposed loops, whether it's 1 or 2, you'll end up with this nice rounded bottom that is basically just a stitch folded in half. So that's the way to do it if you're making a standalone piece that you don't need to connect to anything, okay? But now what if you want to work into the edge later? What if you're making a blanket square and you want to have an edge that you can connect to? Oh, you know what? I should show you another row just so that you can see the edge fully. Here, let's just finish up this row and then I'll show you the next row. Okay, so on the next row, did I do that right? I did. On the next row, I'm going to work into, again, the back loop and then the exposed loop from the previous row. Back loop, exposed loop from the previous row. I'm going to do 2 or 3 rows because it's easier to see what I mean about that edge once I've got a couple rows in. Back loop, an exposed loop from the previous row. Okay, let's do one more row. Actually, you know what? Here, this has that edge to it, so I don't need to do more rows. So you can see that this edge is totally smooth with nothing to catch if I wanted to sew in, or not sew in, crochet into the edge to do like an edging or something. This is the finish I would use for a pot holder or something like that, trivet. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I'm making a blanket square and I want to connect the edges. I want to put an edging on my piece. So here's what I'm going to do instead. I am going to work into the back bump, and it doesn't matter, you can pick one loop. There's 3 loops, pick any one loop and work into it, okay? I'm going to do my favorite, which is the back bump. So here's my first row, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I've worked into only the back bump. Right? Now I have 2 loops exposed. So when I turn around and I come back, I'm going to work into the back loop of the current row and then the loop that's closest to me of those 2 that are exposed. So when I finish this row, you'll see how it looks different. And I'll do 2 rows again because it's easier to see with more rows. So yeah, if you think ahead a little bit about, you know, what you want your edge to look like for the project you're making, it's helpful. Okay, so now look at the bottom. See that row of loops? I have loops to work into. So now if I want to put an edging on it, I can, I'm just ignoring that. Okay, I can start here in these loops and put you know, whatever little lacy edging I want to put on it like this. Okay, check that out. So easy because there's something to work into. So you see the difference there versus here where there's nothing to work into. And so that's why it matters what you do at that beginning edge. Otherwise, it's all the same. It's just going into one loop from the current row, the back loop from the current row, and then whatever loop is left over from the previous row. So I'll show you one more time. Back loop from the current row, leftover loop from the previous row. The one tricky part sometimes is making sure, especially right at the beginning, that you have worked into the right number of loops. You can very easily get off and like work here where you skip a loop there. So you want to count at least for your first few rows and make sure that you have the right number of loops because there's a stitch buried in there. Do you see it right there? That's my last stitch there. There we go. Okay. But then once you start to get more into it, it becomes much easier to see everything. It's much clearer. You may also, I'm torn on saying this, you may want to use a larger hook because it's easier to see your loops. But at the same time, you may not want to use a larger hook because the benefit of this stitch is how dense it is, right? It's supposed to be a dense, puffy, thick stitch that's full of air and very, very warm. And if you go changing your hook to a much bigger hook, you're going to lose that. So there's a balance there between what's comfortable to work with and what gets you the texture you actually want. And that is the single crochet thermal stitch. Now the double, or not double, let me back up. You can actually do thermal stitch or something similar to thermal stitch with lots of different stitches. The single crochet thermal stitch is the standard, like this is thermal stitch. If somebody just says thermal stitch, it's what I just showed you, okay? But you can take that same method and translate it to multiple different stitches. You can do half double, double, whatever. It's basically folding that stitch in half and working into other loops. I'm going to show you half double next in 2 weeks, the next time we do a crochet demo, because with half double, I'm cheating and getting ahead here a little bit. But with half double, you have 3 loops you can work with, right? You have the top, the front and back loops on the top, and then you also have that 3rd loop at the back. So by alternating what you're doing with that, you can get all sorts of different looks. So that one's actually really exciting to me. It's not proper thermal stitch, but I'm going to call it HDC thermal stitch, half double crochet thermal stitch. And that'll be in 2 weeks. Next week, I'm going to show you the double flex stitch in knitting. If you may remember the commercial, I don't even remember what it was a commercial for, but John Stamos was sitting there, so probably that Greek yogurt, I don't know. But he was sitting there knitting and he said, or he showed somebody something in knitting or whatever, but he said it was a double flex stitch. That is an actual real stitch. It's not the stitch he was using in the commercial, but it's an actual real stitch. So I will show that to you next week. And that's everything I have today. Are there any questions? Anything you want me to go over again? Let me know. Otherwise, I will just say have a good weekend and happy Thursday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.